I'll admit, when I first got serious about building custom PCs, Fractal Design was not the first case manufacturer that I looked toward. I was more into the flamboyant, ostentatious cases that just kind of caught your eye from a different perspective and just made you look at it because it looked so weird and out there. Fractal cases have always been subdued, and that is what I have learned to love about them. The Fractal Define S was perhaps one of their biggest successes because it allowed users to throw whatever they wanted into the case, they had plenty of room left over, and cable management was an absolute dream. The Fractal Define C, which I reviewed inadvertently in a video right here, manages to keep the same cable management standard, but includes a basement and a shorter profile overall. And now we've come to the Fractal Design Meshify C. This is still based on the Define C chassis. It still has the same basement, it still has the same removable top panel for custom cooling compatibility. You can put pumps down here, whatever you really want. And it also has improved upon some of the airflow qualities that restricted the Define C. It's a beautiful case up front, and I think that it's priced well. It also includes a tempered glass side panel. Let's talk about it, what I like about it, what I really like about it, and what I think they could improve upon in the next gen. Right off the bat, yes, this is a tempered glass case, much like the newly released Define C tempered glass edition, but this is its own case because they changed a few things about it that, well, might appeal to some, might not appeal to others. It really depends on what you're going for with your build, and that's what videos like these are going to be for. The first and most obvious difference between this case and the Define C is the fact that this case has a mesh front panel, hence Meshify C. This will be great for those who want to mount radiators up front, even just a fan configuration. It will allow for smooth airflow through these front little slits. You won't have that restricted kind of side panel airflow pattern that the Define C had. This front panel is also tessellated quite a bit, which gives it a bit more texture, looks a bit more dynamic up front than just a solid front panel, and it is completely meshed out, so if you want air to flow through the front, just put a couple fans up there and you shouldn't have a problem with airflow at all. You'll also find a Fractal Design logo toward the bottom left. The front panel is also a bit more difficult to remove, and you'll find that the front I/O ports have been integrated into the front panel, so be careful when you remove this. You'll have to mind the cables that are attached up top. In terms of front I/O, you'll find the exact same configuration here exists as was on the C: reset switch, microphone jack, headphone jack, power button, and 2 USB 3.0 ports. At the very top, you'll find a single mesh magnetic dust filter. Now, this is the only thing included up top. You do not get the Modu vents. This actually was packaged separately with the Define C when it shipped, but here you only get the mesh dust filter. I guess that's good though if you're looking for maximizing airflow. This is really all you need. Other improvements that, in my opinion, the Meshify C has over its Define C counterpart are black PCIe slot covers instead of white ones, which I don't know why they've been using white for the longest time, but now they're black, which is good. Fractal has, I guess, improved that in a sense. And then the fans that are now included, there are 2 included with the Meshify C, both 120s, have black fins instead of white ones. You'll find that the case is supported by 4 large, sturdy rubberized feet, just like the Define C, and the same large dust filter that spans the entire base. Fractal's also stuck with the same PSU mounting system. You'll find the bracket that they kind of ripped off from NZXT here, although it only uses 2 thumb screws in this case versus 4. Very easy to use. Simply mount it to your power supply and then slide your power supply in through the back. Use the 2 thumb screws to secure it in place. Rubber grommeted cutouts everywhere as usual, and a hard drive cage down below, which is removable, that includes 2 hard drive brackets. I'm a huge fan of this SSD tray behind the motherboard shroud. A simple thumb screw removes it. Install the SSD config to your liking, and then reinsert it. I think it's an excellent use of otherwise wasted space. Look, airflow design with the Meshify C has drastically improved over the Define C. I speak from experience there. What hasn't changed, which is good in this case, is the cable management setup. So the back of the case is identical to the Define C. If you're familiar with that case at all, you'll find that cable management in this case is a dream, as it was with the Define C, as it also was with the Define S. Every full and mid-sized tower on the market should follow suit with this design. It makes these cases such a breeze to build in. If you know Fractal design, you know that cable management is a top priority. This is one of the easiest cases to build in, hands down. Off to the far left, you'll find Fractal's supreme cable management technology here. So this back panel is actually bumped in a little bit for extra cable management space. I think all cases, like I said, should do this. And you also have included Velcro straps to keep those cables where they should be. But the compact nature of the Meshify C, which was also in a way the Achilles heel of the Define C, is extremely hardware limiting. You can see this even just from that camera angle there. There's only about an inch worth of space between the end of this graphics card and the beginning of the 240mm AIO. And this is a reference PCB, so third-party coolers with third-party PCBs on them might extend a bit further toward the front of the case. That's a serious concern for the Meshify C. A way you could get around this with the Define C is by putting maybe your fans in front of the chassis but behind the front panel. That would restrict airflow, but it was better than not being able to stick your graphics card into your PC. That's actually what I've had to do with my Define C custom loop builds. I've had to put the fans between the front panel and the beginning of the chassis, and then I rest the radiator just behind the front of the chassis. So that gives me a bit more space for my water cooling tubes to kind of run up from the basement, and also gives me a bit more breathing room for the 1080s I have in the current build. But if I wanted to throw the exact same custom loop config into the Meshify C, it wouldn't happen. There's no way that it would work. I couldn't run the tubing first off between, well, I probably could, but it'd be really cutting it close between the graphics card and the radiator. I also could move these fans here into the front panel compartment, because there's really about, I'd say, a centimeter of space between the front panel and where the chassis begins, just because they have an integrated dust filter in here and kind of a mesh metal sheen on the very front. It's really the only serious concern I have with this case. They've improved everything that Define C was lacking, including airflow, but they've compromised hardware compatibility to an extent. So if you want to throw a 240mm AIO in here and a custom graphics card, I'd say something that's not referenced for one, then you're gonna have to really pay close attention to the length of your video card and how much space you're gonna have between that and the radiator. You could try mounting the radiator fan config up top. There is room for two 140s or two 120 fans and their radiator counterparts, but I'm not sure you could fit a radiator. I guess, I don't know, you'd be cutting it close. You would certainly block off a part of your motherboard, and I'm not sure if the heatsinks here would interfere with the radiator either. It's just something to consider. Hardware compatibility, it's restricted here. I'd say it's restricted by about 30-40%. The Define C was already restricted, but they managed to work around a few of the kinks by giving you more space in the front panel. Here, not the case at all. The last thing I'm going to complain about, only because this is a subjective video really, it's just going to come down to what you want in your build. I'm not a huge fan of the extra tinted tempered glass. It looks not that tinted because I have this huge light panel here that's kind of shining through it, but this is a rather dark tempered glass panel, and I kind of find that it defeats the purpose of having a tempered glass panel in general. It becomes rather difficult to see what's inside, so you're going to need a ton of LED strips in there, or just other RGB configs to illuminate what is on the inside. Otherwise, you're going to have to really squint to see what's inside, or shine a bright LED panel like I've got here into the case. It's foam padded, not going to rattle or anything of that sort. It's also got rubber mounts, so it's designed well and it's implemented well, especially from a company that hasn't done tempered glass in typical cases like this before. But the tint is just, it's a little too much for me. I think that the P400S was probably as far as I would go along a tint line. I think that NZXT's S340 Elite, their white version, I don't know if the black version is the same, I think it is, that tint is the best tint in my opinion. Just very slight, but you can see everything inside regardless of whether you've got things lit up in here or not. That's the way a tempered glass panel should be. This here with the extra tint, it's just, I don't know, it feels kind of cheap. So that's my review of the Fractal Design Meshify C. I was honestly prepared to give this my favorite case of the year award. I think that this is a true contender against the S340 Elite and the P400S TGE. The only problems here, like I've mentioned, the tint on the tempered glass isn't all that appealing to me, and I think that this case could be maybe an inch longer for that extra video card and AIO compatibility, maybe even custom loop compatibility. This case would look awesome with a custom loop in it, but it's going to be really difficult to pull it off. You probably have to put the reservoir on the bottom or the top, and I don't know. I don't know how you're going to fit a radiator and fans up in the front with a standard video card length. That's just, I'm not seeing that happening right now. I'm also going to link the Define C TGE in the video description. I think that's a true contender over this one. If airflow optimization isn't your thing, then I don't really think you should consider the Meshify C. Like, you're going to be okay with a config like this, but custom loop compatibility is going to favor the Define C. At the expense of airflow, yes, I can attest to that personally, but This case is restrictive, it really is. So I'm going to link that case in the description. I'm also going to review the Define C TGE in a dedicated video, and then give my final decree as to whether or not I think that case is the best all-around mid-sized tower on the market. Look, in an ideal world, I would say that a Define S with a basement would be the best case overall, but I would be willing to compromise the extra length for just a more compact style. I think this is a pretty good style here, and keep the basement. I think that the Define C is a pretty nice middle ground for most people, and the tempered glass is just the icing on the cake. But if you like this case, maybe you like this video, be sure to give this one a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. Be sure to click the subscribe button as well. That's that red button down below, and click the little bell notification icon so that you get notifications when I upload more videos like these on the channel. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.